Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Now today, we're doing something a little different.
Yeah.
It's a mini deep dive.
Perfect for when you just, you need answers.
You don't have a ton of time.
Yeah. And you need them fast.
But you need answers fast.
Right.
And today, we're tackling Sequelize developers.
Yes, we are.
With help, as always, from the amazing folks over at theperfectdeveloper.com.
They really are the experts on this stuff.
Absolutely. And speaking of experts,
Yeah.
if you want to make sure that you're asking all the right questions when you're interviewing these potential Sequelize developers,
Oh, good point.
you got to head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and check out their 5 questions tool.
That's like a cheat sheet.
It is. It's like a cheat
They're
sheet.
finding great developers.
They're finding amazing developers.
Yes. Love it.
So
Let's jump in.
let's jump in.
So first, what is Sequelize?
Okay, so imagine this.
Okay.
You have your awesome app,
Mm-hmm.
but it needs to store a bunch of data.
Oh, yeah, of course.
User info,
Mm-hmm.
shopping cart,
Mm-hmm.
details, whatever it is.
The whole shebang.
The whole shebang. But all that data lives in a database.
Right.
And databases, well, they speak a different language
Yeah, they do.
than your app.
They're hard picky.
And Sequelize is like the bridge
Ooh, I like that.
between the two.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the translator that helps them understand each other.
That's a really good way to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just about knowing databases, it's about knowing this specific tool
Right.
and how it plays with Node.js.
Exactly. A Sequelize developer isn't just any developer who can handle databases.
Right.
They're fluent in JavaScript, Node.js, and of course, Sequelize itself.
So they're like specialized chefs,
Yeah.
not just anyone can whip up,
Yeah.
a perfect souffle.
A souffle, exactly.
So speaking of chefs, what kind of salary am I looking at for someone with these skills?
Well, that's the thing. It varies wildly.
Of course. Experience, location, promo.
Project, all that. But theperfectdeveloper.com gives you a really good starting point. They list average salaries for different regions.
Awesome.
So, for example, you might be looking at like 80,000 to 130,000 per year in the US.
Okay.
While in Europe, it could be 50 to 90,000 euros.
Wow.
They even give per hour rates for freelancers,
Oh, that's helpful.
which is super useful.
Super helpful. But full-time, part-time,
Yeah.
in-house, outsourced, how do I choose?
It all boils down to your project and your needs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Each option has its pros and cons, and theperfectdeveloper.com really helps you weigh those.
Okay, so let's say I'm ready to start interviewing.
Okay.
What are some questions that will really help me separate the Sequelize masters
Ooh,
from the novices?
good question. Well, you want to go beyond just like basic syntax questions.
Okay.
You want to get a sense of how they problem solve.
Right.
So, for example, you could ask, how would you handle migrating a large data set while minimizing downtime?
Oh, that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a novice might stumble on that, but a true expert's going to have a plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. You want someone who can think on their feet,
Exactly.
not just, recite the textbook.
Exactly. You want someone who understands the real world impact.
Right.
Don't be afraid to throw in like a little coding challenge,
Yeah.
or maybe have them walk you through a past project
Okay.
where they really use Sequelize to like solve a tricky problem.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So it's about more than just textbook knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding those hidden gems
Yes.
who are really passionate about this stuff.
Absolutely.
Any tips for kind of unearthing those passionate Sequelize developers?
Yeah. Think about where those passionate developers hang out,
Okay.
Online.
Okay.
Dive into communities like GitHub Stack Overflow,
Right?
even like Sequelize specific forums.
Oh, yeah.
You can actually get a feel for their expertise just by looking at their contributions
Oh, that's a great idea.
and how they interact with others.
So it's like going straight to the source
Exactly.
instead of waiting for them to find you.
Yes. And speaking of finding the right fit,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on like full-time, part-time,
Right.
in-house? In-house also.
Outsourced.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you make that decision?
It's tough.
Well, and that's where theperfectdeveloper.com has been so helpful for me
Yeah.
because they lay out all the pros and cons of each model.
Right.
And it helps you decide what really aligns with your project and your budget,
Exactly.
right? Because full-time, you've got that stability, that deep integration,
Right.
but it can get expensive.
It can.
Part-time gives you flexibility,
Yeah.
but maybe they're not always available.
Right. Exactly.
And then there's that whole in-house versus outsourced debate.
Oh, yeah.
In-house gives you so much control,
Mm-hmm.
and that communication is so much faster,
Yes.
but outsourcing can be so much more cost-effective.
It can, especially if you need specialized skills maybe for a shorter period.
Right.
It's a lot to weigh.
It's a tough choice.
It really is. But that's why it's so valuable to have a resource like theperfectdeveloper.com. They can help you weigh those options and make that decision
Absolutely.
for your specific needs.
Okay, so let's say we found our Sequelize superstar.
Right.
We've navigated the hiring process.
Yep.
They're officially on board.
Woohoo!
What happens next?
Good question.
How do we make sure they hit the ground running and become a valuable part of the team? Well, that's where onboarding comes in, right?
Absolutely. Onboarding is key.
And I imagine it's more than just like handing them a laptop
Yeah.
and showing them where the coffee machine is.
It's way more than that. It's really about setting them up for success from day one.
Okay.
And the perfectdeveloper.com really emphasizes that.
Yeah.
Making sure they've got the right resources, access to the code repositories, and a really clear understanding of what the project goals are and the team dynamics.
It can be overwhelming to join a new team.
Oh, absolutely.
So that structure is so important.
Yeah, it's like you've just hired this master chef,
Okay.
but they're in a brand new kitchen. You got to make sure they know where everything is,
Yeah.
how the equipment works, what the house specialties are.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
That's perfect. But even with the best onboarding plan, there's going to be times when a new developer gets stuck
Oh, for sure.
or feels unsure.
Yeah.
How do you create that environment where they feel comfortable
Right.
asking questions, seeking help?
It's all about open communication
Okay.
and what's called psychological safety.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure they know who to go to for support.
Right.
Encourage them to ask questions, provide those regular check-ins,
Yeah.
How are you doing? How's it going?
Right.
Because nobody wants to feel like they're constantly bugging people or admitting they don't know something.
So it's not just about those technical skills. It's
Right.
about creating a space where they can thrive,
Exactly.
both professionally and personally.
Absolutely. And, happy developers or
Yeah.
productive developers.
Oh.
And productive developers build amazing things.
They do. We've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
From, what even is Sequelize
Right.
to how to find the right developers, how to
Yeah.
interview them well,
Yeah.
onboarding, setting them up for success.
That's a whole journey.
It is. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are embarking on this Sequelize journey?
Just remember, finding the right developer is an investment,
Okay.
not just an expense.
Mm-hmm.
Take the time to understand your needs.
Okay.
Do your research.
Mm-hmm.
Use the resources that are out there. And if you're feeling overwhelmed,
Yeah.
don't hesitate to reach out to the experts
Right.
at theperfectdeveloper.com.
They are amazing.
They can really guide you every step of the way,
Mm-hmm.
from defining your requirements to actually making that hire.
And before we wrap up, I have to mention one more time.
Yes.
That 5 questions tool.
Such a good tool.
It's such a great way to get clarity on what kind of developer you need.
Absolutely.
And it's free. Just head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and check it out.
Yeah.
You will not regret it.
Such a game changer.
Well, that brings us to the end of our Sequelize mini deep dive.
It was fun.
Hopefully you're feeling more
Yeah.
informed and more confident about navigating this world of Sequelize development
Yes.
and finding that perfect talent to bring your app's data to life.
It's been a pleasure diving in with you today.
Until next time,
Wow.
happy coding.